Hi guys, welcome to NMAT. We have a question again. We're still going to be working on this with augmented matrix method. So we want to solve this using the augmented matrix method. So what we'll do is we're going to place this in matrix form, and we're going to use the coefficients of x, y, and z. Alright, so here coefficient of x in the first point is 3, y is 2, z is minus 1, and the result is 3. And then we have the coefficient of x again as 1, we have y as minus 3, and we have z as 2, and the result is 7. We have minus 1 for x, and then we have plus 1, we have 1 for y, and then we have minus 3 for z, and that's equal to 6. Okay, so we've arranged it in form of a matrices now, and then we want to work on it. Remember, the goal is to have at this point 1, these are the point 0, 0, at this point 0, this point 1, and then this point 0, and then here 0, 0, 1. That's what we expect to have, and then when we do that, the value that we have here will represent x, the value at this point will be y, and the value at this point will be z. So this is what we are planning to get. Alright, so what we need to do here is, first of all, we've seen that at this point we have 1 at this point, so we can easily swap it to the first row. So we're going to swap the second row to the first row. So to do that, we then have the first row as 1 minus 3 and 2. Okay, and the result there is 7. So we are moving this to the first row, and then this first row will now replace it, which is 3, 2, minus 1, 3. And then we have minus 1, 1, minus 3, and minus 6. So this is what we have. Remember? Alright, so now here, since we now have 1 at this point, it's easy to eliminate this point and this point, either by adding or by subtracting. So when are we going to subtract? To subtract if they have the same sign, and then we eliminate by adding if they have different sign. Like if one is negative and one is positive, then we have to add. If they have the same sign, positive, positive, we subtract. If they have negative, negative, we subtract. Alright, so now to subtract, now we want to eliminate this point, we want this point to be 0. We want this point to be 0. Here now we have 3, we need it to be 0. So to do that, we need this point that is 1 to also have the same value at this point. So what we're going to do here is we multiply. So if we multiply this by 3, it makes this point to also be 3. Okay, so we're going to say that the second row now, the new second row that we are going to have would be the new second row, which is this row, would be to the second row, we're going to subtract 3 times the first row. So that means we multiply the first row by 3 and then subtract it from the second row. We are going to eliminate this point, making this point to be 0. Alright, so let's look at what we are talking about. So second row, this is what we have as second row. Second row, we have 3, we have 2, we have minus 1, and then the result is 3. And then 3 times the first row. The first row, 1 times 3 becomes 3, minus 3 times 3 becomes 9, 2 times 3 becomes 6, and 7 times 3 becomes 21. Okay, and then we subtract. Alright, so we have 3 minus 3, we now have 0 at this point. 2 minus minus 9, 2 minus minus 9 becomes 2 plus 9, and that becomes 11. Minus 1 minus 6, minus 1 minus 6 becomes minus 7. 3 minus 21, 3 minus 21 becomes minus 18. So this becomes minus 18. So this is the new row 2. Okay, and then we also look at row 1 here. Row 1, here we have 1, and then we have minus 1. So here we have a positive value, now we have a negative value, but the same magnitude, 1 1. All right, so if we add it up, remember we said if they have different sign, we have to add. If we add it up, we're going to eliminate that point. So our new row 3 would be row 1 or row 3 minus plus row 1. Row 3 plus row 1. All right, so let's do the math here. So our row 3 is minus 1. We have 1 and we have minus 3, and the result is minus 6. And then row 1, we have 1, we have minus 3, we have 2, and the result is 7. Now we are adding. So we have minus 1 plus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. Here we have 1 plus minus 3. 1 plus minus 3. Plus minus is minus. So 1 minus 3. 1 minus 3 is minus 2. And here we have minus 3 plus 2. Minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. Minus 1. And then we have minus 6 plus 7. Minus 6 plus 7. Minus 6 plus 7 is 1. So this is going to be our new row 3. So let's write it down then. So our row 1 is unaffected, is 1, minus 3, 2, and then 7. Then the new row 2, these are new row 2. New row 2 is 0, 11, minus 7, minus 18. And then new row 3 is 0, minus 2, minus 1, and 1. So that's what we have. We have these, and that. All right. So next step now is to make this point to be 1. Need to make this point 1. So remember, first step, make this place 1. Then use it to multiply with the value and eliminate this point, make this point 0, make this point 0. The next step, make this 1. You need to make this point 1. And we can make it 1 by dividing it by 11. Or, to make it easy, you can move the third row to the second row so that you can have fractions that are easy to work with. Because if you divide everything here by 2, minus 2, to make it to be less of the Burgos fraction. All right, so let's do that. So if we swap row 3 to row 2, what we're going to have would be the first row is still 1, minus 3, 2, the result is 7. Second row will now be 0, minus 2, minus 1, 1. And then the third row will now be 0, 11, minus 7, and minus 18. All right. All right, so now we have this. We can easily make this one 1 by dividing through by minus 2. So we divide through by minus 2. So new row 2 is now row 2 divided by minus 2. And what we're going to have would be, first row is still 1, minus 3, 2 to 7. Second row is now 0. Minus 2 over 2 is 2. Is 1, sorry. Minus 2 over minus 2 is 1. Minus 1 over minus 2 is 1 over 2. And then here we have negative 1 over 2. Okay? And then here we have 0. We have 11. We have minus 7. And we have minus 18. Alright, so now, since here is 1, we can easily multiply it by 11 to have this other point. And then we can eliminate and make this point 0. Alright, so what we're going to do now is to work on the third row. We now see the new row 3 would be equal to row 3 minus 11 times row 2. So if we multiply this by 11, we have the same value as this. All right, so let's work on this. So row 3, we have row 3 as 0, 11, minus 7, and minus 18. And then 11 times row 2 will become 0. 11 times 1 would be 11. 11 times 1 over 2 would be 11 over 2. Yeah, 11 times minus 1 over 2 would be minus 11 over 2. And then we'll work with the maths now. Remember, we're subtracting. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 11 minus 11 is 0. Minus 7 minus 11 over 2, we can put it down. Minus 7 minus 11 over 2, where the LCM is 2. And this becomes minus 14 minus 11 over 2. Alright? So minus 14 minus 11 is going to give us minus 25 over 2. Alright, so at this point we have minus 25 over 2. And then here we have 18 minus 18, minus 18. Alright, so let's write it down. Minus 18 minus this minus again, minus 11 over 2. Alright, so this becomes minus 18 plus 11 over 2. The LCM is 2. Alright, the 2 times minus 18 will be minus 36 plus 11. So minus 36 plus 11 is minus 25. So we have minus 25 over 2. So the value here is minus 25 over 2. Alright, so what we have is 0, 0, minus 25 over 2, minus 25 over 2. That's now our new row 3. Alright, so let's write it down. So our new row 1 is 1, minus 3, 2. Row 2 is equal to 7. Row 2 is 0, 1, 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2. And then row 3 is what we have here, which is 0, 0, minus 25 over 2, minus 25 over 2. So now, it is easy to make this 1, because all we need to do is divide through by negative 25 over 2. Alright, so let's do that. So we can then say that new row 3 is now equal to row 3, or the former one, divided by negative 25 over 2. Remember, if you divide anything by itself, it gives you 1. Alright, so what we're going to have would be row 1 is still 1 minus 3, 2 results in 7. Row 2 is 0, 1, 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2. And then row 3 is 0, 0. When you divide negative 25 over 2 by negative 25 over 2, we have 1. Divide that by that, we also have 1. So we have this now. Now, after we have done this, we'll now use row 2 to attack row 1. And which point are we attacking? This point. So it's easy to eliminate that by multiplying this by 1 over 2. 1 times 1 over 2 becomes 1 over 2. Alright? Okay? And 1 times 1 over 2 still becomes 1 over 2. So let's work on that. So what we're going to have would be, we're going to say that the new row 2, why we want to work on new row 2 is because we have already we have placed row 3 at the point that we're looking for, 0, 0, 1. Alright, so we have done that, 0, 0, 1. Now we want to make this point to be 0. Remember, this point has to be 0. So we need to use row 3 to eliminate row 2 by making this point this value, which is 1 over 2. Alright, so we multiply 1 by 1 over 2. So we say that new row 2 would be equal to row 2 minus 1 over 2 row 3. 1 over 2 row 3. Alright, so let's write that down. So row 2 is 0, 1, 1 over 2, minus 1 over 2, and then row 1 over 2 row 3 would be 1 over 2 times 0 is 0, 1 over 2 times 0 is 0, 1 over 2 times 1 is 1 over 2, 1 over 2 times 1 is 1 over 2. And then we're going to eliminate that by subtracting because they have the same sign. Alright, so 0 minus 0 is 0, 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2, that's the same value, so it becomes 0. Now, negative 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2, that becomes minus 1 over 2, and that's minus 2 over 2, which is minus 1. Alright, so we have minus 1 here. Alright, so we now have 0, 1, 0, and minus 1 as our new row 2. Alright, so let's write that down. So row 1 still remain 1, minus 3, 2, and then 7. Row 2 now becomes 0, 1, 0, minus 1. Row 3 is 0, 0, 1, 1. Now it's time to attack these 2 points. And to attack this point, we're going to use 1 here. So that means we're going to make 1 here. We're going to multiply this by 3. And then to make this 0, you have to use with this other point, that row 3, and make it 2. Alright, so let's do that. So we're going to say that our new row 1 would be the same as that would be the same as row 1 minus 3 or plus 3 row 2. Why we are adding is because this point has different signs. This one is negative, this positive, so we need to add it. All right, so let's work on that. What would that give us? Okay, so we know our row 1 to be 1, minus 3, 2, and then 7. And we know 3 times row 2 would be 0, 3, 0, and minus 3. Alright, so now we are adding. So 1 plus 1 is 1. Minus 3 plus 3 is 0. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus minus 3, that's 7 minus 3, and that's 4. Alright, so we have 1, 0, 2, 4. Alright, so that's what we have. So we can write it down here that our new row 1 is now 1, 0, 2, then we have 4. Row 2 is 0, 1, 0, minus 1. Row 3 is 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay? And then finally, we need to make this 0. So to make this point 0, we're going to multiply this by 2 and use it to subtract that. Alright, so we're going to say that our new row 1 would be row 1 minus 2 row 3. Now you need to take note. If you start by saying 2 row 3 minus row 1, you're going to have negative values. Okay, so this point is going to change to negative 1, so we need to start with this one minus this. All right, so take note of if you use this one minus this and it gives you a negative value, that means you need to switch it over to have 2. Okay, all right, so let's work on this. Now this is going to be, what's our row 1? Our row 1 is 1, 0, 2, 4. And 2 row 3 would be 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 again is 2. Alright, so we subtract. Okay, so 1 minus 0, 1, 0 minus 0, 0, 2 minus 2, 0, 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, so that's what we have. Alright, so our new row 1 is 1002. So that's what we're going to write for our new row 1. So new row 1 is 1002. Alright, so we'll put it down. So we'll put it down. 1, 0, 0, 2, and 0, 1, 0, minus 1, 0, 0, 1, here, just like we said, that the first value here will be represent our x, this value will represent our y, and this will represent our z. We can then say that therefore x equals to 2, y equals to -1, and z equals to 1. So we can check it out with any of this equation. 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 6 here. 2 times -1 is -2. And then -1. All right, so this is 6 minus 2, that's 4. 4 minus 1, that's 3. So you can test for the rest and see if the value is correct. All right, so that's how we use augmented metrics to solve for x, y, and z. All right, I hope this video has been helpful to someone. Please don't forget to subscribe and to like, comment, share. Thank you.